The house of death in astrology is the indication of death in horoscope, and it tells when will I die astrology prediction and how to see death in horoscope. The death prediction astrology can tell you about the peaceful death in astrology, early death in astrology, and unnatural death in astrology. The 8th house is considered to be the house of death, and it affects the longevity of life. The 8th house determines whether it will be a natural death or an unnatural death, by accident, fire, disease, violence, drowning or suicide. The exact time of death is actually very difficult to predict in astrology. But the time of death may be calculated, near around, with reference to the planetary positions, dasha, and sub-dasha period of marakas. It must be noted that the dasha of a maraka does not mean to cause death, or the dasha of a malefic for a particular lagna not death-inflicting affects the health of a person. It simply means that during the course of those dashas one may experience certain obstacles, which may be death or similar to death of someone close, or events which may change the normal life. Planets causing death. Death prediction astrology. Death from fire when the sun is in the 8th house, death from water when the moon is in the 8th house, death from weapons when Mars is in the 8th house, death from fever when Mercury is in the 8th house, death from chronic diseases when Jupiter is in the 8th house, death from thieves when Venus is in the 8th house, death from starvation when Saturn in the 8th house. It must be also noted that the sun causes death by fever, apoplexy and paralysis. The moon, Chandrama, causes death from watery diseases, drowning, diarrhea, dysentery and blood impurities. The Mars, Mangal, bring about death by pneumonia, cholera, plague and such epidemics, hemorrhage, bronchitis, abortion, consequent to surgical operations, accidents resulting from gunshots etc. The Mercury, Buddha, causes death due to fever of the brain, smallpox, nervous disorders, whooping cough and assaults. Jupiter causes death from mental worry, or from some disease which cannot be diagnosed, pleurisy, liver disease, inflammation of lungs, heart failure and spasms. The Venus, Shukra, brings about death from excessive thirst, fasting, excessive heat and venereal disease. The Saturn, Shani, is responsible for death from suffocation, burns, rheumatic fever, paralysis, melancholia and TB. 8th house, points to remember. The Lord of the 8th located in the 12th with malefics gives one a short life. This is also true if the 8th is in the 6th under malefic influences. The Lord of the 8th located in its own sign gives one long life. The Lord of the 8th in the 7th, in its own house, in the sign of a friend or exaltation is also said to be a yoga for long life. The Lord of the 8th and that of the 1st house together in the 6th or 12th and under benefic aspect, gives long life. Or the Lords of the 6th and the 12th houses in the 1st under benefic aspect also gives long life. Good longevity is also given by the Lord of the 10th being located in a friendly sign or sign of exaltation. The Lords of 10th, 1st and 8th in Kendras can confer long life. The previously mentioned planets together with Saturn and located in a Kendra, in their own sign or Mulatrikona signs, the native enjoys long life. The Lord of the Lagna is in a Kendra with Jupiter or Venus or aspected by them, one is long-lived. If natural malefics occupy the 3rd, 6th and the 11th houses and natural benefics occupy Kendras and trines and the Lord of the 1st is strong, the native enjoys full longevity. If Kendras contain benefic planets and the Lord of the Lagna is with a benefic and under aspect of Jupiter, one enjoys longevity. If natural benefic planets are located in the 6th, 7th and 8th houses and are associated with benefics and there are natural malefics in the 3rd, 6th and 11th houses, one has longevity. If the Lord of the 8th house is in the 1st under aspect of Jupiter and Venus or is associated with them, and the Lord of the 1st is in a Kendra, one has long life. If there are in the horoscope 3 planets in exaltation, the Lord of the 8th in the 1st and no malefics in the 8th, one enjoys long life. If there are 3 planets in the 8th house and each of them is in a good dignity and the Lord of the Lagna is strong, one enjoys long life. One enjoys long life if all planets are in angles or trines and all the planets are good through the Vagas. Malefics occupying the 6th, 8th or the 12th and the Lord of the Lagna weak and there is no benefic aspect on any of these factors. One is short-lived and without progeny. If malefics are in Kendras, without the aspect of any benefics and the Lord of the Lagna is weak, one is short-lived. If natural malefics are located in the 12th and 2nd houses and are not aspected by benefics and are in malefic Sashtyamshas, one has a short life. Longevity is of 3 types. Short is 32 years. From 32 to 69 is middle. Long life is 69 and above. If the Lord of the Lagna is enemy of the Sun, the longevity is short. If it is neutral, the longevity is middle. If it is friend, the longevity is long. One lives till middle age if the Lord of the Lagna is weak. Jupiter is in a Kendra or trine and there are natural malefics in the 6th, 8th or 12th. If a benefic occupies a Kendra or trine and Saturn is strong in a Kendra or trine, malefics are situated in the 6th or 8th, the yoga gives middle longevity. If both lords of the 1st and the 8th houses are weak and are influenced by Mars and the lord of the 6th house, the native dies in battle or by weapons. If the lords of the 8th and the 1st house are located in the 6th with Rahu, Ketu or Saturn, then in the main ruling period of the lord of the 8th and the sub-period of the lord of the 1st or vice versa, death takes place due to thieves or weapons. If the lord of the 1st and 8th houses are located with the lord of the 4th house, death is caused by conveyances. If the two are with Jupiter, death occurs due to loss of appetite. This also occurs if the lord of the 1st and Jupiter are together in the 6th. This can also occur if the lords of the 1st, 4th and 2nd are together. If the lords of the 1st and 2nd houses are located with Saturn, death takes place by consumption of poison. If the lords of the 1st and 2nd house are with Rahu or Ketu and located in the 6th, 8th or 12th, one is hanged. If the lord of the 6th house is located with Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn, one dies at the hands of a wild animal. If the lord of the 6th is with Jupiter, death is through an elephant. If it is with Moon, it is caused by some horse. If with Mars, death is due to a dog. If with the Sun, through the horns of some animal. If the Moon is located in the 8th house along with Rahu and Saturn and is weak in Paksha strength, one suffers from epilepsy. Moon in such a condition also gives trouble from souls of the dead and from water. If a weak Moon is located in the 8th with Mars, Rahu and Saturn or are placed in the 6th or 12th, one suffers epilepsy and trouble from dead souls. Moon in the 4th with a node can make one suffer from intermittent fevers. This is worsened if with the lord of the 8th and located in malefic Shashtyamsha. If the Sun is in the 6th or the 8th, in its sign of debilitation and aspected by malefics, one dies from punishment from the government and suffers financial loss because of it. If Sun is with Mars in the 9th or 10th house and aspected by a malefic, there is early death of father. If both the Lagna and Moon are afflicted by two malefics, one dies in early childhood. If at the time of birth the Moon is eclipsed or with Parivesh and is aspected by malefics, it gives sudden death. If the asterisms Chitra, Uttar Phalguni or Purvashta are located in ascendant of Moon degree and the Moon is eclipsed and under Parivesh, it is dangerous to the life of the mother, the son and the maternal uncles. If Mars is located in the 7th or 8th house and is aspected by malefics, the native dies early. If Mars is in the 3rd along with malefics and aspected by malefics, the yoga indicates early death for younger brothers. If the Moon is located in the 7th along with a malefic and is also aspected by malefics, the yoga indicates early death of mother. If Sun is similarly situated, it indicates death of father. If Mars, Saturn and Venus are in the 7th, it indicates death of Sun. If Sun and Moon are in the 12th without aspect of benefics, the native becomes blind. If one of them is in the 6th and the other in the 12th without benefic aspect, one is blind in one eye. If the Sun and Moon are in the 12th and the Lord of the 12th is in the 1st, this indicates destruction of the body. Similar indications occur if Jupiter is located in the 12th or 8th with malefics and under malefic aspect. If the lord of the first house is strong, but the lords of the 4th and 9th houses are weak and occupy the 8th house, there will be death of father and the mother at the time of birth. If the lord of the 3rd house along with moon is located in the 6th, 8th or 12th house, one drinks milk of women other than his own mother dies soon after birth. If the lord of the 9th house and its significator, sun, are located in the 6th, 8th or 12th house, the father does not see his son. If two planets, lord of the 9th and the sun, are located in a trine, this yoga indicates good comfort from the sun. The location of the lord of the 9th, sun and Saturn in the 6th house indicates death of the father during the night. If the lord of the 9th house is located in a movable sign or in the 8th house, the father dies away from home. If in a fixed or dual sign, death occurs near home. If the sun and moon are in Kendras, in movable signs, the son will not have the opportunity to light the pyre of the parents. If the lord of the 9th house is strong and moon, lord of the ascendant and lord of the 4th are without strength, the yoga indicates severe trouble to the mother. If there are many malefics in the 8th, disease will arise on or near the rectum. This will not be true if there are benefic aspects to the 8th house. One leads a comfortable life if there are benefics influencing the 8th house. If malefics influence, there will be cause food. If the 8th house is located with malefics or aspected by malefics, there is often defeat in one's undertakings. If there are benefic planets on the 8th house, there is no defeat for the native. If the 8th house is a movable house and the 8th lord is a movable sign, one dies away from home.